Rob,
Sorry.
thanks that you made it all the way here.
My pleasure. I think that this is I think if you think about it, this is a good founder story too, you know, and then we got a couple nice pictures. So, and then infinity and beyond, we talk about neurodegeneration, when the professional became personal, like me taking care of people all over the world, and then having to take care of my mom, right? And then the process of what it is to be a caregiver. Aging is inevitable, the new definition of metabolism, and then some more of the exercise. So, oh, I can do it that way too. So the hero's journey is something that we talk about. It's sort of like the process of the book is what they write about. So you have a calling, you have a vision, then you sort of move into adventure and you go right into the toilet, and then you have a breakthrough and you come out. Most of the time you meet somebody in the middle there. And that's sort of how it works in the book. That's kind of the format of the book. And it's kind of the format of anybody who's on a healing process, because everything's great until it's not. And that's really the abyss. That's really death. And you have to be reborn. And that's sort of what we're doing, is helping people come out of the darkness into the light, you see, and giving them to infinity and beyond means make them better than they were when they came in. That's the objective. Okay, so again, follow your intuition. That's the whole thing. Go with what it is. This is the picture that I wanted to share of me and my family, my brother Matthew, my brother John, myself, and my mother in the back porch of the house in Geneva, New York, in 1979 when I graduated high school. This is the same porch where 40 years later, I began to work in earnest on this book, right? So it really had a story, and that's kind of my story. And the thing that we're going to kind of overlay is the pro-neuro program. So, and everybody has a, you know, recode, pre-code, decode, but this is mine. And we talk about photobiomodulation or photoneuromodulation, and that is like the cherry on top. That's the big one. But it's sort of backwards, but it's really the thing that everybody looks at because it's bright and shiny, but you need pretty much all of this in order to help people get better. You seeing it?
Our screen is not. Probably our fault.
Turn yours a little bit further in.
Their screen didn't fast forward after the family picture. They didn't get the next picture.
Yeah.
Can you refresh anything? Oh, there it goes.
There.
Yours is pretty slow there. So,
There.
so and then it's repair, regrow, and regain. That's kind of where we talk about how does the body recover, and that's where we're going to talk a little about heart rate variability. Then optimize. You need supplements. You need to optimize what's going in you. And you need to really optimize, you know. So, but the thing is, repair, regrow, regain is like the sleep and the recovery and how we can measure that. Nutrition, detox, and water. How we have to time when we eat. We have to, you know, get the right foods in these people, and it's pretty simple, really. It's if I could write a book about it, it wasn't. We hopefully made it simple, but it's like 1,000 references, but it shouldn't be scary, even if I'm scary, right? Exercise, moving the right way. I want to invite everybody to whatever time they tell me. I should put you through some of the routines that I do in the morning, and you know, maybe I should say, like, why should they come and do routines with me? Why am I even here? I mean, I didn't pump up myself enough to say, like, well, you know, I'm 40 years a clinician, been doing light therapy for a couple decades, and this is kind of what I do. So, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be in the middle of jungle in Costa Rica if I didn't have some kind of credentials, but that's not my thing. So restore, restful sleep, re-energize. That's the whole sleep thing, how important that is. And then social connectivity, you know, even if it's just being there for them. We're not about support, because support means you have to hold somebody up. We're about teaching them to grow so they can hold themselves up. You know what I mean? A lot of these, if you go to Parkinson's support group or dementia supports group, and you go in there and you say, hey, we have a program that helps people get their brains back. Are they really going to sign you up? Let's say we help people get their brains back. What happens to the support? What happens to the support group? It goes down, right? People don't go there because they're getting better or they're buying it someplace else. So really, there's not a whole lot of avenues to say, hey, who wants to get their brain better? You know, at home, you know, it's not like you have to kind of make the waves for that. Okay. So that's a little bit of the intro, a little bit about me. It was pretty quick, right? Let's see if I can go back to my drive. Okay. And then this one. I think this is going to be really great because it explains maybe the stuff that we haven't seen yet.
Think if you press,
What's the matter with it?
think if you press on top, opening the slides and everything else.
Oh, thank you. Still an error. And it's on the other computer.
But you could download it maybe.
All right then. No, it's coming. It'll come. What you are? Go
Are you
here.
connected with our internet?
Yeah, I got the right one. Don't worry. I can do it in 2 shakes. Let's see if I have it here. Hold on. Okay, that it is a big file. So I can download it from here. Well, I can't do that one. Let me go back here. Can I do the neuronic brain fog paper? Are you guys familiar with that?
Sure.
You do a little of that while I get the.
This is well enough.
It's just very slow.
That's because I think are we always having this scenario?
Load it for a second. Yeah, I think it's one of the different.
Well, this is the. I'll do this one for now.
You grab some paper towels too. Oh, there they are.
Was that me? No, no, it's me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Right, help you out there.
There's something else.
So we see the usage and transcript. We see the one, you just pulled up the Bowen.
Yep. So have you seen this one already? We've gone through this one.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen the study, yeah.
Okay, so there's no reason to go through this one. This little thing here. This is all the review.
Cute animated.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, then. I have 2 others on that.
Actually, I think I saw your LinkedIn video on this.
Thank
as
you.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Well, let's just not connect and let me read this to you, maybe, huh? Or do you want me to put it up?
Save it as a PDF, make it smaller.
Yeah, but I don't have to send it in. I'll if this one opens. So hold on.
So when this one.
Okay.
That was.
Let's see. Mhm. Can someone Liam, can you tell me the signing code?
Monkeys, 40.
No, for the meeting,
Signing code.
the meeting number.
89143169.
All right, 1 second here. Let me get that.
It's on the email you sent the link, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. I just got the number in a second. Yep. Now I gotta join. Give me that. So just read it off to me. Join.
Are you already in it?
I'm in it on this one.
All right. How'd you get into it?
Where's that number?
The
8914
There you go. And what's the next?
8316 095. 891-483-16095.
Liam, you really posted yesterday, Palmer seems to be the sales and marketing shit.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Pharmacy.
Yeah, what was pharmacy about?
He had my phone, and I was looking for pharmacy, and he didn't know what to do with an iPhone apparently.
Well, it just popped up while I was typing, like, and it looked like it was a glitch, and I just continued to type that, and then I clicked enter, and then it like sent, and then it was like the thing was still there. And I was like, oh, I think I just sent a message somewhere.
Everyone was the second.
Well, I was confused by Berman's response. It's where someone works most likely. But
Here we are. Everybody there? Am I showing yet? Am I sharing yet? Hold on. Let me share here. Turn to meeting. Open.
see, yeah.
Okay, here. All righty. This, it gives me great pleasure to walk through this slide here. Addressing cognitive decline. There's me, Dr. Joe. That's me when I started. Those are all the books and research that I did. That's like 40 years ago, right? And I just wanted to point out that I have been studying dementia or this type of thing, the whole vascular dementia also since 2003. This is one of my first research papers with cerebral autosomal dominant arteriopathy with subcortical infarcts and leukoencephalopathy. That's called CADASIL. It's a very rare disease characterized by recurrent transient ischemic attacks, strokes, and vascular dementia. So it was a lady that came in, and this is what I used to do. You know, I was a chiropractor practicing in Italy in places that was not legal, doing a whole, neuro rehab center. So just say this isn't my first ball game, if you will, on how to do this stuff with people. Hold on, where are we here? Come on now. So this is a group of all these people came together to put this together, this home system. This is their brain as we look at it and go deeper to the cells, and all this stuff is important. I just thought it was quick. All right. So there's 100 billion neurons in the human brain, which is about the same as the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And that doesn't even count when you're talking about synapses. They're even greater number of synapses, right? So this is the most developed thing in the whole human world, and the known universe is this brain. And when you look at an Alzheimer's brain on the right versus or dementia brain or any kind of brain, a COVID brain, they have a distinct feature, don't they? Right? And this is kind of puzzling to people. And I want to just point out a couple of things. That we know one thing on the dementia brain is you have loss of structure, loss of tissue, loss of cells. And that really means a loss of function, if you think about it. If you don't have the workers, they can't do the work. And if you don't have bone, you can't hold up your spine. So a normal spine versus like an osteoporotic spine, loss of structure, loss of function. And that is a chiropractic perspective. So when you look at a healthy brain versus an Alzheimer's brain, we could say that is a loss of structure. And then that's why it can't really do its job. But on the other hand, I want to turn this around a little bit and talk to you about maybe it's an increase in water, not so much a loss of function. And that's something that people haven't really thought so much about. And this is really cutting edge neuroscience that I'm going to share with you. So that's really the whole idea. If we lose structure, we lose function, can't process as fast, as quick, or do the things that you want. And it gets very slow there. Okay. Am I going the right way here? Yeah. So in the progression, you see on the left-hand side, we have cognitive function, right? The juice. And we have normal aging over time. So yes, everyone's experiencing some slight cognitive changes, right? Now I want to break the phases down. The silent phase of dementia is called subjective cognitive impairment. That's when I know something's the matter, but no one else can really detect it in that sense, or you can fake it. Then there's mild cognitive impairment, which is you can kind of do some stuff, but maybe not. Mild, your concerns to the individual and the family, other people can see it. And then there's the slippery slope of dementia. And on the bottom, you can see sort of the MoCA score. So no one's really kind of put this together to show you a MoCA score over time. But really, what is the new normal? I mean, who has a healthy brain these days, right? With all the stuff that we're addressing. What is normal? So it's not now. It's normal to be a little screwed up. Now we have long COVID brains, and where are they going? Right? They're not going anywhere very well. So their function ability is equal to their brain power, right? To their cognitive function, what they can do. And the caregiver stress and demands kind of goes way up as they go down. And the behavioral problems, well, they increase also until they don't, and they become these little things. So these are the situations that is different. Like I know that, Dr. Marvin and I, we talked about memory. Well, memory, short-term memory, that's a nuisance. That's bothersome. Are these terms everything you guys follow me? Okay. So it's like go faster, go slower, but it's actually the behavioral problems that create situations. So agitation, hallucinations, irritability, paranoia, they're coming to get me. I want to go home. With social withdrawal, sleep problems, right? So it becomes a real mess, basically, in the progression of dementia. So 60% of all dementias are Alzheimer's, if you will. It's the third leading cause of death in the US. It's the number one cause of death in the UK. It increased by 70% in the year 2000, right? It's going to be way more by 2050. My other study was you have like I said, what was it? 1 in 3 chance of getting dementia, right? I think we're going to talk about that. It's if you had COVID, you have an 18 times the chance of getting dementia.
This morning you'll wake up and you won't know where you are. You'll be greeted by a seemingly friendly face. Get you up. She'll help you with your clothes. She'll take you to the washroom and help you brush your teeth and do your hair. She'll smile at you in the mirror. You'll venture to a kitchen. Someone brings you tea. You don't realize this is your kitchen, the kitchen that you have lived in and cooked in for over 20 years. You'll go about your day completely supervised, completely dependent, because without someone around you, you wouldn't do anything. Maybe you'll go for a walk, watch a movie, even work out a little, but someone is always there, guiding you, showing you. Each night, you'll have dinner and maybe even recognize one person who joins you at the table. You'll laugh when they laugh and be silent when they talk about the day's events. But you're unable to contribute because even what happened a mere 15 minutes ago is lost to you. Someone will take you to bed, put away your clothes, help you in the washroom, help you into your pajamas, and tuck you in. Then she'll look at you the way she always has. Say, but you won't make the connection.
I thought I like that. So we get this one, real people, zero cures, as they said. A genuine new drug hasn't been proved for that. I mean, that's very, for me, that's a very emotional video every time I see that. So a new Alzheimer's drug has not been approved since 2003. And the current approved medications are ineffective in stopping or slowing down the course of the disease. This is the facts. And this is just the way it is. Every 68 seconds, someone's diagnosed with the Alzheimer's, there's blah, blah, blah. So it's like this. This is the medical care of Alzheimer's. We spend billions and billions of dollars on research. You load your loved ones into the spaceship, right? All the technology, and it just blows up. It doesn't do anything. It's horrible. And we have to do something. Is Alzheimer's contagious, right? Well, maybe if you're a caregiver, right? The caregiver stress is real. And I have a beautiful set of research on this late onset Alzheimer's disease. So we know that the caregivers go down, and we know that late onset Alzheimer's disease people have their kids a lot of times as caregivers. And then we have what's called O-load, offspring of late onset Alzheimer's disease, which have cortical thinning, cognitive processing, stick reaction time. 20 years before, they're in their 50s, so 20 years before anything shows up, 10 years anyway, we're already seeing the signs in their brains. So if they have, then you add all the stress of the caregiver thing, it's just another person going down. That's why I have a very care-centric, approach to caregiver-centric approach, right? Because 16 million families are providing care. That's unpaid labor, right? And I was talking to the lady the other day, and I said, my next book is going to be a book of quotes. Have you ever heard anybody says, life is like a rainbow, life is like a baby diaper, small and full of shit. Well, I like all those quotes, right? And Cyndi Lauper said, life is not a prison sentence. And I thought that makes something. But the lady was caregiving for her 89-year-old mom with Parkinson's for 4 years, sole caregiver, 50-some-year-old lady, right? That's like prison sentence. She's like, yeah, that's a life sentence. That's very hard, right? So a caregiver has a 63 increased risk of death. It's a caregiver is a diagnosis with no cure. 81 experience fatigue, frustration, despair, and everything like that. It's because these people are just on human life support. If you're not there for them, they go down. So this is a great quote from somebody here. We're being told repeatedly that drugs are being developed that will slow the decline. But why would anybody do that? I can tell you, taking care of my wife, both of us living with this every day, that's the last thing you want, right? Slow the decline. I mean, that's the best hope we can give you. I'm not going to get any better. I'm just going to continue to poop down the drain. No, thank you.
Every day, every night, all across America, families in crisis are reaching out for help.
Just so sad seeing a person wither away like this.
He shouldn't be driving, but he does. There's no getting the keys away from him.
I can put it on the
He's
thing.
diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the biggest epidemic we have in this country.
It's a crisis coming down the pipe that you can say. She is combative and difficult. I don't want it to escalate anymore to get any more.
Hold on. What's this, Joe? Let me do it. Let me hook it up to this one. Turn this one off. This is Rudy Tanzan from he's a Harvard researcher and has some good things to say. Whitney's Air book.
And guys, feel free to note some questions. Joe told us that he has enough time for an extensive Q&A session.
Oh, sure, whatever. Ready? Here we go. Here we go.
Every day,
every night, all across America. Families in crisis are reaching out for help.
Just so sad seeing a person wither away like this.
He shouldn't be driving, but he does. There's no getting the keys away from him.
He's diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's is the biggest epidemic we have in this country.
It's a crisis coming down the pipe that you can see.
She is combative and difficult. I don't want it to escalate anymore to get any more violent.
Alzheimer's is an epic disease. That is the case every single minute in this country and every 4 seconds around the world.
It affects all of us, your family, a friend, your neighbor.
This is one of the top 6 things that's going to kill us.
I'm taking care of her now almost 10 years from her first diagnosis.
She thinks I'm her mother. Our roles are reversed. So what do I do?
I'm shocked that people are not panicked about what this disease is going to do to the country or to their families.
It's going to sink the healthcare economy and in turn sink the national economy.
He's just like, who am I? I don't understand.
It will take us down. This disease will take us down.
We have a chance to avoid that. But to do so, we have to fund the research to find the cure. It's a race against time.
Right? Then that's the point. It is a big deal, and it's only going to get worse. Reality of it is that's the one we see. There's me and my mom, and her caregiver Howard, and she is when she got older, telling me about whatever she's trying to tell me about. How did you get your diagnosis? Well, they say there's a lot to do with your diagnosis. Of course, I'm sure it's hereditary. My father treated your father for the same thing. So when we talk about the genes, this is a little bit about this load and O-load thing. Eat less, exercise more, and invent a time machine so you can go back and choose parents with better genetics, right? Everyone knows someone who's a cancer survivor, right? Anyone know an Alzheimer's survivor? Not really. Who's scared of Alzheimer's? It's one of the 10 most common causes of death in AD, and the only one with no effective treatment. It's not only fatal, it robs victims of their humanity and terrorizes their families, right? So who's scared of Alzheimer's? Family, hereditary, genetics, lifestyle. Any way you cut it, you're looking down the barrel of a gun that this can really happen, right? And there's nothing that will prevent, reverse, or slow the progress of Alzheimer's disease. Is this still true? Let me say this as clearly as I can. Alzheimer's disease can be prevented, and in many cases, its associated cognitive decline can be reversed. And I'm going to show you how right now, for the first time, hope and Alzheimer's come together. And this was the whole, Dale Bredesen stuff back in the old days, right? And this is, this is how somebody got better, right? And he's on the show. This is pretty
Alzheimer's. Just the word is terrifying. This dreaded disease not only steals memories, it's also America's 3rd leading cause of death. But one doctor has found a way to successfully fight back. Our Laurie Johnson visited one of his patients whose Alzheimer's symptoms have actually been reversed.
These days, 69-year-old Sally Weinrich smiles almost all the time, ever since her Alzheimer's symptoms reversed.
Life is good. I like being able to remember, to connect the dots, because I've experienced the absence of thinking, and that is scary.
Her husband, Martin, equally overjoyed.
She has come back.
It sounds
Sally's
overjoyed. Didn't
not
that seem
alone.
overjoyed?
Hundreds of patients with mild to moderate cognitive impairment experience never-before-seen improvements thanks to a revolutionary treatment developed by Dr. Dale Bredesen.
Alzheimer's disease is no longer a mystery. You don't have to say, we don't know why you get it. We don't know what to do about it. We do know why you get it. We do know what to do about it. And we know how to prevent it.
After 30 years of research, Dr. Bredesen is sharing his treatment in the new book, The End of Alzheimer's, as well as in medical journals. Just like a roof with 36 holes can only work when when all 36 are repaired. Dr.
Is this okay?
Bredesen says there are 36 causes of Alzheimer's, which must all be addressed.
If there are specific exposures, you want to get rid of those. If there are specific nutritional changes, you want to address those. If there are hormonal changes, you want to address those. If there are inflammatory changes.
Sally and Martin sensed trouble when she began forgetting things like her grandchildren's names and her purse at the grocery. A test confirmed early stages of Alzheimer's.
It was a total sense of hopelessness. A wish to die and not want to live, because as a nurse, I've cared for Alzheimer's patients, and I also have had family members who I love dearly who've had advanced Alzheimer's and who died from Alzheimer's, in fact.
So the nurses, she can't even take care of herself. You can't figure it out that your parents get it. You watch out for you. I don't know. I get a little bit fired up.
Want to address those. If there are hormonal.
At the grocery.
I not want to live, because as a nurse, I've cared for Alzheimer's and who died from Alzheimer's, in fact.
You die with Alzheimer's. You don't have.
So light therapy is kind of holistic, it's natural, there's no side effect. It kind of get a brain to do its work. It does not do the work on its own.
What you have uncovered is, I mean, the single best term I could describe it is profound. The simple application of light can have such a radical improvement on a disease that's going to devastate our society. There is a tsunami of Alzheimer's disease approaching us, and there are no effective drugs. So what can you do? Hi, this is Dr.
Going to the details now.
Yeah,
we do get
the whole idea is photo neuromodulation or photobiomodulation improves Alzheimer's disease symptoms and decreases the plaques, enhances memory, improves cognition, emotional effects, improves sleep, improves the progression of dementia, and improves cerebral blood flow. With all this is this is 5 years older, right? So real hope equals real research, and we see that this is really what we're all about here: is putting light on the body, putting light on the brain to get it better.
In fact, slow down Alzheimer's. Slow down, I guess, is what I would say. Yeah.
Have you noticed the difference?
Well, I think I have. Yes.
The man you just met is Russell. He has Alzheimer's and he's hoping this headset will help improve his quality of life. He was part of a small study, just a handful of people, which is literally shining light on Alzheimer's through this headset.
this whole thing actually rests on the science of what you call photobiomodulation, which is really a way of using light.
That's just it, just to point out that the brain is a light organism and it does well with the light. And when we add more to it, like a program, you actually do make a big difference. So photobiomodulation, photoneuromodulation, reverse cognitively kind of recode, to relax, optimizing supplements, nutrition and detox and water, exercise and mobility, de-stressing the system. That's also has to do with heart rate variability, getting your good sleep to reorganize, and having some oneness. So community and however it goes. And that's just the whole idea of what we're showing up. Because what did we said here? You know, we can show a brain that's not really working too well. We can show one that's, you know, starting to lose its power. And what should we do about it to go the other way, to grow a stronger bone, a stronger brain, and more tissue? Which we've looked at this in different places and using SPECT brain scans, and even the doctors that we work with show that these are actual improvements in the function of the brain when you put light on it, right? So can we build the brain back to where it was? Can we speed it up? And I say, yes, we can. Okay. So these things just go up. So if you look at it, Alzheimer's disease is neuroregeneration. Photobiomodulation regenerates the cells. It increases BDNF. It does all these things that are therapy directly to the brain, right? So, I mean, I don't have to talk about this. There's no side effects. And this was Bredesen's thing. So prevention if you don't have it, and if you don't, treatment if you do, because it's personalized. No one intervention is curative. You need to continue to optimize and work on this for about 3 months to see the brain really work. Put light where it belongs, right? Because if you do it right, you come back and, you know, our research shows that rapid, and I know you guys see this in your work, rapid reversal of cognitive decline, not slowing it down, that they come back to normal in a matter of days, really, for some of these tough ones. And, you know, I just have to say that I'm gonna quote like this. If I say this is the way it is, really, I have the references for it. If I don't know something, I'm a little curious about something, I'll say, well, from what I understand, I'll tell it to you that way. So what I'm telling you is the truth, it's the science, it's the logic, is the way it works. Okay, it's like I know that Costa Rica has like something like what I was telling Liam, like 0.3% of the land mass of the earth, right? But 13% of the biodiversity of the planet. So I don't know those figures for sure, so I'm going to tell you that. But when I tell you that we could change people's, dementia scores in 28 days, just a few applications, that's a fact. Okay? That's basically the overview of the reality of this. Share with you a little bit of what's going on the other side of this scenario of Alzheimer's disease or these things. Okay. Got any questions on that? Was it insightful?
I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
So in a few slides ago, you were mentioning that it's getting worse day by day. The people who will get dementia and Alzheimer's.
Of course.
And what makes it getting worse day by day?
Why is the rate of dementia getting worse, or why the people get worse?
No, rate of dementia.
But the
rate of a decline of an individual.
No, it's just we're what it is we are at the study that I wanted to go over, maybe we can talk about it at the end, is sort of putting this together for you a little bit, that things that hurt the body hurt the brain, and the brain can actually be hurt. So we have, like when these guys were saying, it's an epidemic, it's a tsunami, one every 4 seconds. The number one thing that happened to people at the beginning of the pandemic was delirium. They lost their mind. And now you have to realize that can be 3, 6, 10 months, 12 months, 18 months, 5 years later. And that's really what we're dealing with. Hopefully we can get an inroad into somebody on the other side that can understand what we're saying, because we're swimming in a sea of insanity, people. And I really think that it's important that you have a concept of who you're taking care of, who you're talking to on the other side of the phone, because they're not going to make good decisions, and you need to be there to support them. And you have to have their best interests in heart, because, you sell people the stuff and they don't have a caregiver. They don't know how to turn it on. They don't know how to do anything. These things have to be managed. And that's why they need a little personalized care, a little personalized support. Okay. Okay. So with that, hopefully this one will work, and there's no noise in that. Go ahead. Did I answer your question? We're swimming in a toxic world.
Pandemic affects a lot, as much as I understood.
You didn't know that the pandemic would affect it that much? Is that what you're saying?
No, like other than that pandemic, is there any other reasons?
No, we don't need any other reasons. That is the worldwide crisis. And this is the whole scenario, is that we need to be able to monitor these people, deliver the care quickly and simply. And I want to point out that the little bit we talked about heart rate variability, and that means the heart is not a metronome. It has to beat with some variability. And higher HRV is associated with a healthier nervous system. So I'm going to break it down to you. Low HRV is associated with depression, difficulties regulating emotions, low resiliency to stress. What we're saying is these are brain readings. Why is it important? It's a good indicator of overall health and your ability to manage stress. It's easy to track improvements and changes, right? So it can, using a variety of devices. A high HRV means that your nervous system is healthy and adaptable. A low HRV means that your nervous system is really not doing too well. So what business are we in? We're in the brain rehab business. We're in the nerve rehab business, right? So, excuse me. No, yeah. It's pretty easy, but I was pretty happy with my AI graphics here. So heart rate variability is the measure of the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. It really doesn't really matter, but a higher HAV, in the book, I call it the joy score. If you have a low HRV, you're more susceptible to depression and malfunction and things not working. And if you have a higher HRV, this stuff usually bounces off you. So HRV declines dramatically with age, and low HRV is associated with worse cognitive function. So isn't it something that's associated with impaired cognitive function? And it also increases the risk for cognitive impairment. At the same time, it also is affecting the brain's lymphatic system, which I'm going to review a little bit here. So the autonomic nervous system inside of us, as well as the brain, is affected in dysfunction, cognitive decline and dysfunction, right? It's also hyperperfusion is the lack of oxygen being delivered to the blood. Hypoperfusion. It's a common cause of cognitive decline, and it's caused also by damage to the small vessels in the brain. Autonomic dysfunction and low heart rate variability are recognized as a cause of hypoperfusion. So not only are you not getting the blood to where it's going, it's affecting the nervous system. You're not getting the perfusion into the brain, and it has other effects, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Okay, let's see if I can jump to the next slide. So monitoring the people's heart rate variability gives us a lot of insight into what's happening to them. So the bio trackers that we use are important in our, let's hope you can open. I have the other one ready. Is it coming? That was my paper.
That was you?
That was my co-author. I didn't do it. I let the
Yeah,
co-author
I
do it.
just saw it. I haven't watched it yet.
That's right. We're gonna
Alex on it, yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about it. That was pretty. That was pretty amazing.
I figured there was a connection there, so like, there's no way I just saw this and you're presenting on it.
So it was the lymphatic system was discovered or rediscovered, let's say in 2011, and it's important because it clears the waste of the brain. And this has always been a part of my care plan. I just understand it better. It removes cells and waste products and toxins from the brain. And recently I had a discussion, and the whole point is that, you know we have lymphs, we know they get swollen in the body. We know they get infected when there's cancer. And I said to him, is the lymphatic system there to protect the body, or is the lymphatic system there to protect the brain? And I'm sure no one ever asked him that question before, but in a moment he said the lymphatic system is there to protect the brain. So let me share with you some of my expertise. This is the paper, and you can see it was Dennis Bragan in the middle there, who we brought him over because of the Russians. See, Oksana and all this stuff. This is all previous research done by the Russian group that was very difficult to get through. So we really had to boil it down and break these things down. But transcranial photobiomodulation, low levels of light into the brain, it promotes cellular proliferation, microcirculation, and everything like that. There's increasing body evidence that supports that therapy of the brain ameliorates neuronal stress, neuroinflammation, and promotes neurogenesis. There's no adverse effects. This is the boss lady there. She's the one that kind of put everybody on her shoulders. I see if this thing, will this play? Is this a video? No, this is his thing. So this is the lymphatic system. I'm going to just break it down for you. So this is the vessels inside of us. This is the caverns and sinuses inside our brain where they produce water. So it produces about this much fluid a day. So it's being produced all the time. There's about maybe, I think they said a liter and a half or something like that. So it's always being produced. It moves through this system of the body here, 1, 2, 3, right? And through the whole spinal cord. I don't have a whole lot of pictures on it, and then it pushes its stuff out and drains those toxins out of the brain and into the body, mostly through the cervical, through the nose, through the back of the neck, some things like that, and then it gets it away. So, when you think about it, the brain is it's a closed space. So everything, it's like traveling with your backpack. You don't have a lot of extra space. And if it goes overwards, they kick you off the plane. So I don't know how to make it anything, but I can think when we walk through this, it also distributes the CSF fluid in the brain. It's glucose, lipids, amino acid, transport, everything kind of floats through there. And what's this doing here? Here's a little picture that I like to show, if it shows. Let's see if it shows. Is it gonna show? Will it play? Will it play? Well, anyway, this shows the stuff blowing through the brain. You can see that this person already has some ventricular, and some, spacing. This has some nerve damage there. So now they found out that the lymphatic system is for the big thing of the brain, and it's most active while we sleep. Okay, and I don't know if you knew this, but let me see what this one says here. This has a video. Let's see if this one will play. Let's see if this one will play. Come on, baby. No. So in this brain here, at night, they say, figure it this way, they say the brain structure shrinks by 60% at night. And that still fascinates me, right? That this is your living brain, and it can go away 60% and then come back. And the reality of it is, we talk about it in the book, think about it. If you had to get the waste out of there, it's like the trash trucks driving through Manhattan. If you could shrink the buildings down so that the streets could get bigger, they could move around there a lot quicker and take out that stuff. And the bottom line is, it's actually a release of water into the brain by the aquaporin channels. That's where the stuff, the water that's inside the brain tissue is sort of like squished out like a sponge, if everything works well. So this is sort of how it works. I still can't see these videos, but I'll show it to you anyway. It passes through these different things. The nose is very important, and because that's a contact with the brain and everything like that. So if you look at normal lymphatic function over here, meningeal lymphatics, these are the small vessels in the brain. They impact, they maintain the meningeal immunity. But if they get in trouble, right, you can have all these reduced drainage, and that kind of accelerates cognitive decline, and all those toxins are going to be in there. I think I have a good one here. So if you're efficient at moving the toxins out, everything is good, right? But if you're overwhelmed because you have a virus or you have a cytokine storm, Erden? Yeah, your name's not coming up on my screen, but that means that you have more stuff to get out. So when you think about COVID and a neurological scenario, you understand that even the chronic fatigue is a different thing. You can find that with the HRV, but what I'm pointing out is they have eye pain, they've lost the smell, they have headache, earache, right? They have vertigo, they can't move their neck, they lose their taste. That is increased pressure in the brain. That's a faulty lymphatic system. It's affected because of the toxins, right? So things that hurt your waste removal are sleep disturbances, hypertension, small vessel disease, things that we talked about, right? And things that help it are sleep, vascular health, exercise, and keeping the stuff down. So the reality of it is, this is kind of the interplay between our genetics that we talked about before, our lifestyle that gives us these pathological diseases. And here's the point. The lymphatic system, or the brain's lymphatic system, is the final common pathway for all neurodegenerative diseases. So it doesn't matter how you get it. This is how the brain heals. This is where healing happens. This is where the immune system is activated when you're going in your sleep. So as Dale Bredesen says in his book, How to Give Yourself Alzheimer's, is to have the usual American lifestyle. So these things can be changed, because if you decrease the output of your lymphatic system, you will increase the protein concentrations and toxins and stuff in there. Then they sort of glom together, and it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. And that's why you get that slippery slope that we saw on cognitive impairment right down the drain, because the brain knows how to fix stuff. It's just no one is assisting it in the right way. So these are the little vessels that we talked about. This was just recently discovered in January, called the subarachnoid lymphatic-like membrane, or slime. It's right there. So this water is right under the skull, and even penetrates into the skull and right in there. So you only have to get the blood, the light right to the water, right to the top, and it'll help this stuff move. And that's right where it is. The greenish part is the sagittal sinus right there. This is where it happens, right there, right in these things. And that's the drain. See if this video will play. Will any of these videos play? But this is basically what happens. The pulse pressure of the blood vessel, see it there in red? The pulse pressure of that blood vessel pushes against, watch this. It should do it this way, but it doesn't do it, so I'm using my hands, I'm Italian. Pushes like that, and it kind of pushes that paravascular space against it, and that pushes the lymphatic stuff out. So it's pushing it into the tissue, and that tissue flows across and takes the garbage with it and pushes it to the other side where it's accumulated and taken out through the little vessels in your head and out of your body. The quicker, the better. So when we increase the blood flow, we're increasing the push of water. We're moving these neural fluids. Okay. And that's how they kind of go. They keep pushing it and pushing it out. And that's a good thing. So the point is, when you're vasodilating these vessels, you're increasing the push of water and blood in the body. And that's kind of how it works. And that's kind of what we're investigating. And if you put even when you put the light on the head, if you put it on the neck, is what I say, if you put it on the back of the head or in the body, you're going to vasodilate the lymphatic vessels. Maybe in the head, we don't really know that yet for sure, but we know if we put it on the body, the vessels in our body open up and they help that stuff get out of there, because you can flush the toilet, but if the septic tank is full, guess what? It overflows anyway. That's why you need a multi-pronged approach when you're taking care of these people. And let's think about it. If you don't sleep, right, it just doesn't work. Is this not going to work? This is a beautiful video if it works. Hold on. I think it's just too slow.
Can we ask questions during the presentation?
I don't think so. You're muted. And that's what we just said here.
1287 was the nanometer.
Yes,
science.
that's one of the things that they use, that they have started, and they've done it with 800, I think, also, and maybe a 1064 in there at some point. But that's one of the things that we had to review. This is photodynamic therapy. This is the wrong laser to use because they're only in Russia, and this is what they had. So they used a laser for some of these things, and it's done. A lot of it was done on mice, but they did remove the intracerebral hemorrhage stuff. They've done a lot. They removed gold nanometer particles from inside there, so they know that they can move this stuff. And my team is actually working on the guy is the visualization of stuff through MRI. This is his specialty. So this is how it works. And even if we don't know that, who cares? This is how it works. And the beating of the heart and the respiration and the amount of EEG signal, all those things come together to optimize this lymphatic system. So there's many ways to get in there and make it change. Okay, so this isn't going to work, but it basically shows you that pulse that I showed you over that way. And this one you can't see. So the reality of it is we only have to get the light to through the cranium, and we know we can do that very easily. And that's what the AFNIRS does. Right there is the big dealio, right? So it's a brilliant system, because I look here for a second. I watched the movie last night, and in the movie, it goes to the morgue, right? And when you go to the morgue, what is there at the morgue? You know what the morgue is? That's where dead people are, right? And there's all these dead people laying there, and my wife has probably never seen that. Just like you guys probably have never experienced taking care of Alzheimer's people, or getting knocked unconscious or whatever. But I had to do that in chiropractic school. We did dissections of humans. So you open up the room and there's all these bodies there, right? And when you get to the dura, and by the way, my name is Duduro, and my original name in 1600s was De Dura, from Spanish slaves probably that brought over to Italy. But the dura, you can't, it's so hard, you can't cut it, you can't get through it. So think about this. It makes perfect sense that the dura is a sandwich. You see over here where it says meninges? So there's a dura on the outside, there's a dura in the middle, there's a dura on the bottom, and they separate everything like that. And if you had toxic dump waste right? They take it to New Jersey in America and they put it lock it in a landfill. And the bottom has got a big cover on it and the top has got a big cover on it and the toxins are not supposed to get out. And that's exactly what the body does. It does its best to get them out of the brain tissue and into this package, right? Even if it stays within that package, it's sealed very, very tightly. It's very difficult to get out, but it wants to get it out of the brain and it has to maybe dilute it. And that's why you get the swelling and everything like that. So you only have to go that far to make this change. And that's less than a centimeter. And we know that that happens all the time because that's what FNIRS does. This is the whole point about the intranasal area, the face. This is a drain plug. This is where the stuff comes out because it's brain. It's, the cranial nerves. So this is a visualization of where the lymphatic system really kind of congregates in the brain. It happens all the way through. So you kind of have to look through the inside and show where those ventricles are, right? Which are producing the fluid. And then the blood pumping is pushing that fluid through the brain tissue and taking the gunk out through this green thing. You follow? And if you look at it this way, this is sort of where the lymphatic system lives. Comes out the eye, all the cranial nerves in the bottom of that, and that's the meningeal lymphatic systems. Okay, they remove these amyloid beta tau's, all that stuff. It's the only way they get out. It's a neurobiome. It's got its own everything. And the lymphatic system plays a key role in maintaining health up there. It clears and reduces neuroinflammation. It's the only way that it happens. And that's how it gets better. When it's impaired, pro-inflammatory substances build up, result in a state of high neuroinflammation. Okay, so during the sleep phase, spine washes away and carries that stuff. I kind of did a good job on that. That's why we need to sleep. Sleep allows the lymphatic system to perform its important work. It also consolidates memories, regulates emotion, and it is the immune system. So this is how it works, guys. When you go to sleep, your brain starts to fall down and you get into a non-REM sleep here, stage 4, the deepest sleep. Then you come back up, then you go back down, and you come back up, you go back down, everything like that. So people don't know this, but here's how it works. If you had to clean the streets of Manhattan, right? You want all the commuters in there? You want all the cars in there? You want everybody dumping more, flushing the toilet and making more garbage and throwing more stuff? No, everybody's asleep. And so this is the lowest brain activity. Stage 4, non-REM sleep or slow wave sleep is the least amount of neurological activity going on in the human. So we can go in there, shut stuff down a little bit and take the stuff out that we need to get out of there. It makes perfect sense, right? We can't be totally alert and spitting out toxins because even sitting here thinking, your brain is sending out toxins. This is the way it is. So too much thought, too much toxins inside you, too much overthinking, right? Not enough relaxation, not enough stuff. That's the problem. So that's the kind of deal. The reality of it is I've been tracking this since this says 2011 on the top there, guys. This is not this is my first time doing this. So it's important because it clears the waste effectively. The accumulation of toxins gives neurodegenerative diseases. So we need slow wave sleep, right? This is where the immune system is working. The lymphatic system is basically your amniotic fluid pushed into the inside. It's a life-giving fluid. And it's kind of a whole part of the whole detoxing system, right? And so slow wave sleep is the deepest and most restorative sleep. And during slow wave sleep, the interstitial space increases by more than 60%. That means a reduction in the other things. It allows the cerebrospinal fluid to flow through the brain, clearing the waste products most effectively. Okay, so here's where you get the bugaboo, people. Young people will cover this much. You see on the top, you have to have your deep sleep cycles early on and in this sort of a pattern. And they have to be a certain percentage at a certain amount in a certain time. Old people don't sleep good. They don't reach deep sleep. So what do you think is happening to their brains? And what about young people that have, what do they call that? Social jet lag, who want to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning on the weekends? Not good for your brain. Not good for anything because you fall into the shithole. light sleep because the age spend less time in non-REM sleep, potentially causing a catastrophic decline in clearance of brain waste systems. Age-related impairment of sleep quality may thus be causally involved in increased incidence and acceleration in neurodegenerative diseases. All of them. And this is the whole point. These are the sleep-wake cycles are governed and monitored by heart rate variability and changes in sympathetic and parasympathetic tone. That's what's happening. So if you're stuck in a high sympathetic tone, you're not going to clean your system. You're not going to sleep right. You're not going to do anything right. And that's the whole idea. And I think I'm going to talk about that in the next set of slides. So now you can ask some questions. Hi, Dr. Joe. Okay. Hopefully this one.
Just for the team, I know you mentioned it on Saturday. Can you say what photo neuromodulation?
And I had the website. That's the only reason I used that. I bought the website a few years ago. That's the only reason I used that. But what my perspective is, photo neuro oscillation is not the same as photo biomodulation. Photo biomodulation is light changing cells function, modulating the cell into the light goes into a tissue. Photo neuro oscillation is light that can modify the changes in brain waves. That's a different thing. It's not the same. It's different because you're looking at it different. You can't look at oscillations maybe sometimes and say it's doing this and doing that, because a lot of things, sound can oscillate the brain, open and close, activity can open and close, and the eyes can change the oscillations of the brain. So light has the ability to do that. Light has the ability to do a lot of other things too. So this is the point is if you're only looking at one thing, you're measuring one thing, you're going to have one perspective. But that's the brain has got a lot of stuff going on. So it helps to kind of look at our scope and see what we can do with different things. So this is the scenario of what we have in the My Brain Matters. And what we do with our clients and you do with your clients is a coaching program, boost your brain's performance with this system. So we acquisition the data, we analyze the data, and we give them back their advice. We improve their sleep, we give them more energy, we detox the brain, we improve their recovery so they can have more brain power. And
you share those?
excuse me, I'm such a goof sometimes.
Oh, wait, I have further questions too.
Sure.
What's behind the R in the pro neuro? You said it's repair and restore.
Yeah, I think we're focusing on the HRV and the restorative part and the immune system and everything like that. So we know that the photobiomodulation, I'm going to explain to you in a second here. I think I hope I didn't blow that one, but HRV, photobiomodulation modifies HRV. And it has to kind of work. It works exactly the same as exercise without exercise. So you're getting these benefits. And so you wonder to yourself, well, exercise helps the brain. Well, why is that? And I guess I could give you the explanation as to why, because there's a BDNF and everything like that. But really what's happening is you're changing the brain's neural fluid flow with all this stuff. So yes,
It's basically the P and the R in your program. One is basically the method, like the photobiomodulation, as we call it, and the R is basically the result of it.
Repair, regrow, regain. It's the newest science of recovery. Recovery is sort of like how you're just doing everything. So we want to, those are I guess that's the data points that we're coming back with. Even though we're restoring their restful sleep and everything like that, we actually can show physiologic changes on a daily basis. Every time they turn it on, that motivates them and keeps them going in the right direction, because they may not get, behavioral changes until they regrow some brain tissue or do something. Or they may have it very quickly, so you never can judge. But yes, that's the scenario here. Let me see if I can share this here.
You mentioned also fluids.
Neurofluids.
Neurofluids. And when I think about fluids and in general the brain, I think a lot about water.
Yeah, you should.
Do you think that the water consumption has an impact on the brain?
Without a doubt.
Say water consumption. I'm not thinking about what's inside the water, like the toxins. Or minerals. I'm thinking about like the time and the amount we consume.
Correct.
Intermediate fasting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the reality is when you look at it this way, remember we say if we're looking at EEG, we're looking at electrical activity of the brain, and then we're sort of, guessing about what's happening underneath it and where's all this stuff is going on. When we image the brain a different way with FNIRS, near infrared spectrography, these are shining lights into the brain and reading back like an MRI. They read what kind of light bounces back. They're only looking at the red blood cell. They're missing to look at the water part. And what we're looking at in examining is what happens with the water in the fluid. Because photobiomodulation creates oxidative stress. It activates the tissues, let's say, right? Well, the moment that you activate the tissue, you're going to create more waste. And that can't stay around or the tissue stops working. So the point is, we've studied it, photobiomodulation, by looking at imaging of what's happening with the blood, right? And then trying to make all these guesstimates. But reality is, as soon as the blood moves, the water has to move. And that's really the part we haven't looked at because it's a different wavelength to examine that. So only some groups in Finland and my group are looking at the way water moves, that's be the neurofluid inside the system. So if you're dehydrated, and old people don't like to drink because they have to get up at night to go pee and they can't feel their feet and they fall on the ground and hit their head and they get a subdural hematoma, and that's a toxin in their brain, that's a speck-sized lesion, and they get dementia. And nobody even will even mention that. So everything that happens to your inside you, Liam, you have a scar over here on your face. Remember this, scar on the outside is a scar on the inside. It's a brain problem. You hurt something enough to damage your tissue. And even if you rip the skin a little bit like that, it changes the lymphatic system because it's a vacuum. It sort of works in a negative pump system. So every time something like that happens, you have to repair. So that's water is so key, excuse me, even though you have to produce this. So you're producing that and you can produce as much as you want. But if you thicken the blood, and I'm going to do 2 steps here. If you thicken the blood with dehydration, you're going to slow down your lymphatic system. You're going to slow down the blood flow into your brain. If you get COVID, Aaron, I have to have the light up above. I need the Google glasses for that. But what I'm saying is that thickens the blood, and different wavelengths of light and different applications of light thin the blood, just like that. And we really aren't paying attention to that. That when you put the light on that person, and if it hits the blood vessels, the blood flows freer. And that's really important. It's really important for the whole thing, because if you look at the brain, just like your little backpack that you had to bring here, if you increase blood in one area, something else is, the brain's tissue is not going to change. So it creates a pressure gradient that has to move that water someplace. So that might be one area that we talked about, that where turning it off and on might be helpful. If we understood that you were pulsing it to move the stuff away and move it back in, right? That might be a good thing. But the bottom line is your lymphatic system doesn't work during the day. So you're having very difficult time influencing it, doing your care at 12 o'clock in the doctor's office. Because the system's not really, you're not going to be able to boost it that much. You'll definitely influence, and it probably gives us our results, but that's not when you want to assist. That's not when you want to augment the system. You want to do that at home, at night, maybe just before bed, and maybe even laying down. So
Now, with that though, what about messing up your circadian rhythm by doing it too late at night?
Light is photobiomodulation, is circadian medicine, and these are you're talking the wrong frequencies, the wrong wavelengths. So yeah, why do you think those light panels work? Do you know why the light panels work? Do you know why those light panels work? They're way out here, like telling me this thing is going to affect my brain. This thing is going to give me more testosterone. This light that's so far away. No. What happens when you use a light panel? That's not enough. That's not enough juice. But what happens is, let me give you an example. A guy comes to my office, he's an alcoholic, and I put him on a juice cleanse, right? And he said, "Doc, this is the best. Since I've been doing the juice cleanse, I'm not an alcoholic anymore." And I said, "No, you're wrong. You're not an alcoholic because you stopped drinking alcohol, not because you drank juice. when you put these panels up, the people are turning off the other lights. They're reducing the bad junk light that's in their house. And that's helping their circadian rhythm. Red light doesn't do anything for you. And actually, a little bit of blue light at night, a little bit, it's in the early stages, is kind of good for you. And this is another group from Finland. They analyzed what light comes off of a fire. Because humans used to sit around the fire as long as they have done it. And there's a little blue light in there. So they put a thing that puts the nighttime light of the fire, and they put it in the ears, human charger. And then it helps for jet lag and everything like that. So if you're doing photobiomodulation, during the day, it's not really, it's just the same thing as everything else. But if you're doing it close to night, it's circadian medicine. Light is circadian medicine. It turns things on and turns things off. Everything has a circadian pattern. Everything, your microbiome, everything. And when we get those things in line with the coaching, get them to understand the importance of getting their sleep, getting their restoration, increasing these things with the different nutrition and techniques and everything like that, these things get better. And that's kind of the key. Watch this. So yes, repair, optimize, nutrition, exercise. We do lymphatic exercises. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Because in the morning, you got to get that stuff out of your brain and into your body and then move that stuff out. So we heal the gut and all that stuff. Right? I already did this. So when we take care of our clients, on average, we see an increase in their heart rate variability of 100%. And these are young people. These aren't just old people. And we have a decrease in their resting heart rate by 6%. That means all these things mean that their parasympathetic system is working better. We're improving that parasympathetic system. Okay. And they have an 86% increase in their deep sleep, decrease in restlessness, and decrease in REM, or sometimes, I think it's REM sleep because that's just too much. The brain's too fired up all the time. So we take away from in the light sleep and we take away from the REM sleep because we're going to give them more deep sleep. And that's why it works. That's why people get better quickly. See if you can follow me through the neurometabolic cascade. And this is what I'm most excited to share with you. Okay? What did we say in the very beginning? Structure is function. So if you have a heart that has diminished cardiac output for whatever reason, you're going to increase the arterial stiffness. You have a lower HRV. You're not going to get blood into the brain, right? Even like a hypertension, right? If you have blood flow alterations, disturbed hemodynamics, you're going to have reduced blood flow to the brain and dysmetabolism, less nitric oxide release, less oxygen. The mitochondria, there's a whole section in that I'm glad I didn't bore you with, says, wow, we're not getting a whole lot of energy up here. We have to slow this thing down. We can't make a lot of energy because we don't have oxygen. We don't have the building blocks. So we have to reduce our ATP production over the whole body. These are signals that the body sends out that says, listen, we're not getting enough juice. We're not recovering. We're not restoring. So we turn down our systems. Then this microvascular damage creates this little inflammatory cascade. It has to slow down the brain, right? If you hit your head, like we said to walking with Marvin, right? I said, when you riding your motorcycle in Costa Rica and the car goes out in front of you, smash into the side of that thing and you hit your head, right? And you can make it give a concussion. You go to coma. That's low energy, baby. They don't want anything. We don't have you can't accelerate this. You cannot stimulate a toxic brain. You cannot heal a stagnant brain. You must move this stuff out there. And that's really what happens. This is a neurometabolic break that happens to people when they have inflammation or oxidative stress, or they're not getting the right pump. It has to shut down. The path of the Alzheimer's disease pathology accumulation, that's the lymphatic system. You have impaired waste. You have enlarged perivascular spaces because the brain's saying, look, we got to get rid of some of this stuff, but we just got no place to go. We can't move it. And it just builds up and the body starts to dilute it and push it over here and push it over there. And that's what happens. The blood-brain barrier breaks down and everything goes down the drain. The loss of brain structure. you understand that when those spaces are getting bigger, they're taking up space of where the nerves used to be. Synapses are being taken away. Nerves are being pruned because they don't have the energy, right? And that's the white matter damage. Again, that's low HRV. So watch this, and go right back. My heart is going like this. If my heart is got a low HRV, I have low perfusion in my brain. I have low functioning. I have low adaptability. I have low bandwidth on how I can go from sympathetic to parasympathetic. I can't flush anything out, baby. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in sympathetic. I'm stuck in vasoconstriction. I can't push this stuff out. And that's the whole point. This is the downward cycle, heart-brain connection. So at the end, you have loss of brain structure, you will have loss of function. If you lose HRV, you lose in parts of your brain that controls the HRV, that doesn't send the right signals, and it doesn't send it back. So it doesn't matter where they get you. It doesn't matter where it comes from. If you go into the hospital and you have a surgery and they slow down your brain, or they do heart surgery to slow down your heart, your brain don't come back. Right? It's the same thing. It's the brain and the heart. And they need to be with each other because we need to think and we need to feel. And when we lose our mind, we're not really just losing our brain, because the mind is not the brain. The brain is the brain. The mind is the connection between the brain and the mind and the heart. That's the mind, right? And that's why you lose your memory. That's why you lose gait. That's why you lose all this stuff, because you don't get the juice generated in the brain. And that's why we kind of talk about brain power. Vascular hypoperfusion, right? You're not getting the gas in, you're not getting the waste product out, right? The fuel lines are slim because the blood vessels are tight, vasoconstriction, sympathetic tone. You give photobiomodulation, you improve perfusion, you improve the lymphatic flow. In the carburetors, like the nitric oxide release, things can start to purr again. And my co-author says that the lymphatic system is like the motor oil or the cleaning system. And there is a heat reduction stuff in there that's very important. When you get to sleep, your body temperature changes. When you put light on, the head temperature changes. So those things are all important. And that's what we talked about in the book. And here's how we make it even easier for the coaches. So I took the book and I took the audio version in the book and I put that into the AI, into a folder. And you can type any question that you have about this little thing that I just talked about, because everything that I did here is reviewing what's in the book, right? And it'll give you the answer. So you don't have to call me up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you're in the Philippines and you know somebody's over there and they ask you a question and you don't have the answer to it. You don't have to wake me up. It's in there. So the people can do this themselves, or our coaches can be trained that way. And I've been doing coaching sessions for 5 years, and I recorded them all and I put them into the AI. So even the stuff that I forgot, they're all going to be in there. And the procedures and the way that we take the stuff up is all done. The decision tree is already made. So it makes it very easy for us. Can photobiomodulation help someone with TBI? And there it goes. And then there's a reference of when I said it, or maybe what the paper is, right? If you were an expert, how would you describe the ProNeuro program outlined in this audio? The ProNeuro program incorporates non-pharmacological interventions such as nutrition, exercise, photobiomodulation, heart rate variability monitoring, and other brain-based therapeutic modalities. It aims to repair brain problems at the cellular level, slow down the aging process, and promote brain health. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool.
What AI tool do you use?
I got the shirt, but I don't have I need my name on the back.
It's in his they're in the chat.
Yeah, oh.
It's called Brain.
No, that's not it.
Is that it?
No. Green's just it's a recording system that takes notes. So how did that was this like how long was it? Hour and a half?
Nah, 16.
Yeah, 15, I think.
That's good.
I thought we just have a break and we continue for another 1.5 hours.
How much you guys want?
I think we need for sure to have a break.
Take our break, and then anything you want to, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, questions that you have been pondering, I'm pretty sure I have between the two computers. I have
You have something.
I have it. I have it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Say, at 6:30, yeah, in 9 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I forgot to ask about
Has
the
someone
fitting
need a
room
vacuum
plug.
charger here?
Well, let's wait for the group.
One running out?
Huh?
I'm good on battery. Oh, when you ask, perfect.
Yeah, look, my name. I charge them.
You need a drink too?
No, I got my water.
Yeah, you want any juice, any beer, any?
Great. I'm so happy that I stayed cognizant and raced through it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know. You want me to look at those? I think there was a lot of chargers that was
Oh.
up to. Right. Yeah, the west side.
Wait, no doubt, green is good. Green is a good note taking. Green.
That's a good one. Who did this?
Ah, yeah. Good one.
Well, that's fine.
And there.
Mm. 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 Your bathroom's flooded too? Everything, what somebody probably, they say. There's a mop on the other side if you need it. There's a mop on the other side. Yeah, the other side, right outside there. You. Where's this one? Hold on.
Need a little mix.
Yeah.
Nice. Where did everyone go?
I think the girls all in there or something.
Are they
Lehman,
okay?
Lehman Group, I think you're checking the plan again.
And I think the other girls are in the room next. I'm not sure.
Are you coming back? Okay. I mean, I think we can just wait for them to, I think they will still get back to us very soon. So do you want anything to drink?
I have my water. Oh, that's cool.
No.
Not very strange.
Well, I would like to, but I think I can just have one. But actually, no, it's a better time than in.
Yeah, we just talked about.
Yeah, man, come on, guys.
You paying attention?
Yeah, but he knew that already. I already tested him on that. He already said that.
About the helmet, right? So you can not problem and- yeah.
10 minutes is not a big enough break. Harris Hunter like fighter there.
Must be a woman thing. 'cause
No, they can't even walk that. They can't even walk that far and sit down and then come back. What sort of just overall? What? Just give me some topics. I'm gonna write them down so I understand what.
More COVID, microclotting, and the coagulation. What wavelengths in the blood?
Anything else?
Yeah, if you could discuss a little bit about your intranasal applicator, why you use it, what benefits you're seeing comparatively to maybe helmet pads, other things, or what specific things. I assume from the location of the lymphatic things probably helping in some manner of attacking those.
Big. That's a big thing, but I think that the understudied part is the lymphatics for sure.
Yeah,
So,
very interesting.
but it's not I didn't make that, but the guy that did, he knows a lot, and it's important. And the
How
point
much
is,
has been looked into, I guess, with light therapy for this? And
but that's
for how many years?
the difference is, if I just start with that, is that they stuck a laser over in thing. They stuck the laser up in Russia. They put the laser up the nose. But really, we haven't had any way to deliver the light in the way that it's delivered with that device.
Okay.
As I stated, the Via Light device, now they got the next one.
And you said that was a laser in Russia, right? Not LED.
They stuck, I'm pretty sure they shot a laser up there
Okay.
for the mice,
Yeah.
for the rats. So they don't have to do too much. But the Via Light nasal probe bends this way, aims at the septum. Pay attention here, Liam. The Via Light bends this way towards the septum. There's a space from about this much between the probe and the LED monitor. That means that they have no effect on brain. That's why they only flicker, when they flicker the helmet, they affect the brain. That's the only thing they look at, the oscillations of the brain.
Right.
Even this cannot oscillate the brain. So they know that it's a blood device. That's what it was marketed for. That's what it always was. It's not a brain device. Mine goes like this. Now their new one aims like this with the probe going up, because I explained to enough people that somebody told them, your device isn't a brain device, and they know that. But now their new one,
It that way, are they?
no, they always said blood.
Yeah. Well,
No, I think they always said it was blood based. They thought that their brain is helmet. Their brain is helmet.
but what about together?
No, that doesn't really matter. But Lou always said it was blood. And it's always been blood. And that's why he built the brain device. But the bad news is he took a probe and put it on the head and calls it a brain device. But that's really not the brain device.
Yeah, I'm only asking because the way it's, at least when consumers come to us after they've looked at V-Light, that they've been told, or the marketing or their own perception maybe, rather than what Lou and his team are saying, is that it's affecting the brain. It's helping fill a gap.
You can he can spin it every way.
No, I'm in agreement
When
with you.
when Lou came out, he handed me the thing. Hey, this is good for diabetes. Huh? Put it in my nose. This is good for high blood pressure. Everybody get better high blood pressure. I'm like, "Ooh, it sound like it's, this is a long time ago. When it first came out and he was bringing the device forward. So
That was exactly what I was hoping here.
it's, there's no doubt that device helped a lot of people
Yeah.
through a lot of things. Because it will change the blood. It will change the viscosity of the blood. It will make it flow better. And that might help everything, But it's, but
Subsequently could help the brain, not directly help the brain.
it's indirect. It's the indirect effect versus direct effect. And the point is, if you aim that thing, when I put my light up my nose, it's hitting the brain because it hits it goes to here for one, but it's hitting the olfactory nerve, which is right here. So there's nothing in between, even if I trim my nose hairs.
Everything okay with you guys? Yeah, I think it's that room.
Oh.
It was.
The toilet doesn't have a plug, it's just all water in it. It's like, I don't want something that.
But all our issues with there, yeah.
Here, as I have Lou Lim's. I have Lou Lim's talk from Dallas in 2019, improving brain function with transcranial photobiomodulation. And yes, they put the nose piece in there, but that's not what it does. That's not what he talked about. He talked about his new.
It's a consumer perception, not what Light is pushing themselves.
I haven't talked to them about it, but this is their stuff, But I'm open for questions still. I mean, for the list. Nobody else?
What do you think needs to happen in order to have mass adoption for CBM? Because no matter where we are in the US, in Costa Rica, it's even less, or in Europe, it's right now a thing for the early adopters.
I'm not, I can't say that I'm the one to ask for a marketing type of question or that type of question. I don't think I have.
On the science side, basically.
No, huh?
Really on the science side.
On the science side, for science to understand us?
No.
For scientists to understand us or for consumers to understand us?
For consumers to basically feel like that's enough. Like I personally believe, for example, we need the medical device approval. Some people will even go so far because after medical device, it's insurance refund policy. And it's a standard provided package. That's most likely another, after you have the medical device approval, it's another 2 to 5 days now.
So here's my response. I truly believe that getting a medical clearance, the license, whatever you call it, for this device will be the end of the use of photobiomodulation. Because I just explained to you the limitations of the human system. And you're not going to move anybody towards optimum health with just a light device of any kind. Not the ones that we have now. And I don't foresee the ones that I'm making. So what I'm trying to point out to you is you should shift your market to the biohackers and the optimizers who want their life to get better, who will take the dietary, who will make the infects, that will monitor themselves, who will spend the money, that will eat the right food, will spend for the nutrition and everything like that, because those people will get better. But if you give it to them like it's a one-off thing, like the medical doctor gives you one thing and the medical doctor doesn't talk about diet or exercise or health or HRV or monitoring anything, or I know jack shit about anything about health, the people aren't going to get better. And that means they're going to buy it and it's not going to work. That's my perspective. And I told you 100 times, I told Liam the other day, that the people who make the decisions about FDA, yes or no, you're coming to them with 2 fringe products. QEEG, that nobody with an MD degree likes, really, and photobiomodulation, which none of them like. Healing is not in their decision tree. and they're going to step on your heads. So you're going to work all this while to say this thing works, but it doesn't have to be that. It works better when you do it with everything else. That's how it works the best at this point. A medical device will not be put in the hands of the people. A medical device will be put in the hands of medical doctors who don't know how to use it for healing people. It's not a healing thing. This is not, you don't cure the disease with this device the way medicine works, the way surgery works. It's an alternative healthcare program because you need people to do some stuff. Do you follow where I'm going? From my perspective, from what I understand about how the brain and the system works and how photobiomodulation works, this is not going to do it by itself. Just like that drug's not going to do it by itself. Just like doing yoga is not going to do it by itself.
There's still mass adoption for those.
It's coming.
Well, no, I'm saying for the other things you mentioned, and there's mass adoption for things that were more
You get
cutting edge, like transmagnetic stimulation or something, but now it has more mass adoptions. Yes, it's not at home, but it's more,
because it got out there. But what I'm pointing out is the potato chip industry is $60 billion a year. Right? They don't have any medical approval. What do you think the total photobiomodulation market is a year? And that's just one snack food compared to everything else that's out there that people are consuming. So I think you shoot for the stars thinking that's going to be the answer, and it may be the end, because maybe what we have right now obviously is not going to have enough evidence to make it. And if we bring the evidence in, or if we try to do it all alone as a monotherapy to get the research that they need, not going to make it that way either. And if it does make it because somebody pays somebody a lot of money, or they did have one good research program, it's not going to work as good as if you did it in a program of people who want to take care of their health versus want to take a thing. I mean, we make it as simple as possible. Turn the thing on and lay down. And still they're not going to get better. We would give them the optimal dose at the optimal way, the optimal time, and they're still going to screw it up. They need everything else.
how do you know it's optimal at this point? Like protocols and everything. So
Data. We know what's going on. We measure what's going on. And we have outcomes that everything goes together. I'll wait for her. Intranasal. Anything else? What's your most important takeaway of listening to the Dr. Joe tonight? See, it's question and answer, so I can ask questions.
Personally, for me, just very important that sleep health. Because I'm sleep deprived now, and I can see that it's hard for me.
Yep, that happens. That happens, and that's just the way it is. So the key is to get that in rhythm, get that stuff worked on, and sometimes you need to unclick it. So if you have a traumatic brain injury, if you fall and hit your head, your sleep, everything goes wacky, your sleep cycles go messed up, and it's really your job to kind of put that stuff back together. Even though your mind might be going someplace else, your brain might be going someplace else, you need therapies and things that put you in that stuff. And there's really nothing, it's only natural stuff that's going to change your sleep. A pill only makes it worse. And there's only natural stuff that's going to change your emotions, because a pill only makes it worse. That's the only way it works.
Even if it's a natural thing? Even if it's a natural thing?
I say drug, and I say any type of medications and things that if you try to do it. What I'm trying to point out is one of the people in my group says sleep is a skill. So you can't make yourself go to sleep, but you can train yourself, right? You can't make yourself be quiet and calm down, but you can train yourself. So we need a little bit of more mastery. It's not something that you do like that. Follow me? This might get you the result, but it's gonna impede your progress. Anybody else want to chime in?
Stuck on the toilet?
No. I said we could.
Oh, there's her hand.
Everything good? Oh, wow.
That's what I need to make sure we all learn a new skill. which is putting the toilet paper in the trash. Because that's probably one of the situations, and it might not even been us. It might have been the last 15 people that stayed here, but you can see how this place is built and the amount of land, the amount of septic that they have just done. And people don't have healthy biomes, so that stuff's not working too good. My septic hopefully is working pretty well. We take care of it very well because we understand, you know, we make kombucha and we pour kombucha down there. We pour vinegar. We want that thing to be alive. Because this is the most important thing. When we talk about sleep, when we get people to understand that their entire system has on the circadian rhythm, if we can clean up the circadian rhythm, that your entire muscles, your gut, everything knows what time it's supposed to go to sleep. And it starts shutting down at that time, whether you're paying attention or not, unless you really beat it up. So the thing about the microclotting and I was talking to a guy the other day and he goes, yeah, I had a good friend that grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. He just died of COVID. I said, what do you mean? How do you die of COVID? How do they know that you die of COVID? He says they're pulling out the thrombi from these people. Everything's stuck together. And since I studied this stuff, blood flow and brain function for years and years and years, I really shocked me when we did the original brain and transcranial photobiomodulation virtual summit back in 2020. And we started doing it. And just as we started to do it in March, this pandemic thing started happening, right? And all the people wanted to talk about COVID because we knew in photobiomodulation that we could fix this thing, that we knew what was going on. And Frank Kovastock, whatever his name is, from the BioQuant people, he came on and said it right there. COVID is a thrombolytic disease. That's why it affects all the organs. It creates thickening in the blood, and this is the way it goes. And we have it, and I show you how to do it. The intranasal device, and really probably any infrared, I think it's the red or the infrared, one of them, I don't recall, makes that blood go. It's probably, red light is not absorbed by a red blood cell. It reflects it. So we can say that red light is not going to affect the red blood cell. So something else has got to affect that in order to make it carry more oxygen to where it goes. But the reality of it is, most likely, it's the plasma and all that stuff that's in there, the fluid. But that's not even the neurofluid. That's just fluid, right? So it's, and the thing that we talk about is viscosity is very important. So really, what is the viscosity of the water in your head? What is the viscosity of your blood? But then there's turbidity, the junk that's in there, right? So you need to have more light power if you got the junk in there. You need to really, because it won't go through the gunkiness of it. Cerebrospinal fluid, the brain is 99% water, something like that, right? So if that water is gunked up, you don't have the same penetration. So this is what I was telling you the other day. Watch here, boss. Watch here. This, the light shining down like that, that's scatter. These things bump into each other and they don't get to the head, right? And then when they finally hit the head and they're bouncing like this, that's called reflection. That doesn't get in the head either. Doesn't even get to the scalp. Doesn't even touch anything really. So this, when you put the diodes very close, that's no scatter, very limited scatter, and higher penetration because there's less reflection. So this doesn't do it. This does it. This does it. Close to the tissue as you can get it. That's why they put it in the brain, even though you don't have to. Because if you were working the lymphatic system, if you're working that brain like this, you are putting cerebrospinal fluid deep in the brain. That's where it comes from. So that's how you can take a TBI person, which is, if you get in a whiplash injury, your head goes out of your, like that, right? And it stretches those cords and it rips them apart. The damage is deep in the brain. Everything gets messed up, right? And so how can the light get so they're fixed? How can it fix Parkinson's people? I'm shining this little bitty light way out here. How did it fix the Parkinson's people? We don't have to put the light deep in the brain. We just have to get, that's where the healing happens. The neuroprogenitor cells of the brain are in the CSF. All the markers in they're in the CSF. You just have to get it into the tissue. It has to be exchanged, right? Be pushed through. Right? It's a whole different ocean that's never been examined. So that's kind of how that works. And we can show that through live blood cell imaging, right? They take a picture of it. So when you put light on the blood, the red blood cells just race so much quicker. They're not stacked up. So that's the infrared. And the 1070 is 1064 really is great for the water, for making that water viscosity change. That's why it's a great wavelength. Because it does help the water, and nobody's looking. There's no way to image it in any of the studies at this point. Soon, though, we'll have one, and we will show benefits of 1064, 1070 something up there.
What would you say to the skeptics that would say that a lot of the light is being absorbed by the water at lower wavelengths than maybe 1064, 1070, and it's not penetrating fully into the brain?
No, you flip that around. You flip that around 6 different ways. So the correct answer is that all the light is hitting the water before it hits any brain.
Yes, but what part of that has been actually making an impact on the brain? Because I guess, but I had a handful of doctors, neurofeedback practitioners say to me, well, that doesn't make sense. What I've researched is that it's all getting absorbed by the water, but it's not been impacting the brain.
Yeah, we'll do 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then they can get their rest. So the thing is that
I just want a good response that I can
the
say
good
to someone else,
responses,
kind of thing.
the good responses.
Well, research.
Yeah, what is the question? My research says it's good enough. I have the turbidity one that shows you too. So they take a petri dish of water, right?
Okay.
And they put a laser here, and you can see the laser on this side, and you can see it shining on the other side. Then they put a drop of milk in it, right? And you can't see the laser on the other side. Then they put another drop of milk in it, and you can't see the laser here, and you can't see the laser here. So they've already shown with imaging and testing that older people need more light through their brain because they say the skull gets thicker. But I said, since we've been doing our Monte Carlo type of analysis, that they got more fluid too. And then nobody pays attention to that. They missed that. Harvard missed that, by the way. And then they don't understand that it's full of gunk either. And that blocks it. So they're not seeing the whole picture. So the reality of it is, if you hit the top of the skull, you're doing way more good because you're changing a lot more things than they even pay attention to with their EEG research world. It's okay, but to say to them, if you're a skeptic, then you better not talk to me because I don't deal well with skepticism. I say, I'm not here to educate you, right? I'm not really here to educate you. I told Marvin, I'm here to fix your TV. I'm not here to tell you how the fiber optic cable runs and how the circuit board is in the back of your thing. What do you need from me?
It's not Marvin, stop getting in the weeds. Like, that's literally what Marvin always does too. So I show it here.
Actually, I think this would be an interesting question because obviously there are, like you are one of them who has a contrary opinion to what we do.
Well, no. Did anything I say be contrary to what you did?
No, I'm just saying the QEG approach.
Oh, well.
Feel free to call.